I just don't like the fact that people are using, his mental instability to claim that his statement shouldn't be considered. And this leads me to my second point. The second statement about Harriet Tubman, where he says Harriet Tubman didn't really free the slaves. She just got them to work for other white people. Now, when Kanye West said that, I thought, oh, well, that is an obviously true statement. It is an obviously true statement. I didn't think that would be the controversial thing at all. But he was getting dragged on Twitter for saying, "Oh, he's disrespecting Harriet Tubman's legacy." Or he
Harriet Tubman
did not
freed the
free.
slaves. She
No,
did free the slaves. Her
fake news.
what she do. Okay, Trump. Okay, Trump. What she did.
Fake news.
What Harriet Tubman did, she freed herself and she went back about 13 times, I believe, to free slaves.
Fake news.
It's not her fault that, I think people are just blaming on the fact that, that now that Black people, colored people are working for the white man and for people in power. But I don't think that's fair to say. Her point was to give people their body back, to give them, their freedom back, their liberty back,
This is all a lie. SB, she did not free anybody. Let's have a conversation here.
Okay.
What is freedom?
Being able to go anywhere you want without asking anyone.
Yeah, so pretty much my definition of freedom is when you are allowed to be kind of the master of your own destiny, right?
Right.
You are allowed to go where you want. You are allowed to be with who you want, marry who you want, have sex with who you want. You are allowed to pursue any career options that you want. Now, were Black Americans in the North in that time free people? Meaning, could they be with whoever they wanted in the North? Could they have any job they wanted? Were Northern Blacks, and this is separate from Harriet Tubman, I'm talking about back in that time period in American history, were Northern Blacks free to do whatever they wanted to do like their white male counterparts?
No.
Yeah, no, right? And so that means that no Black person in that time period was free. Now, Harriet Tubman went and took Black slaves away from plantations. That is a fact. Now, me and you also just had a conversation, and we said that in the North, Black Americans did not have freedom as far as having any job they want, to be with whoever they want, to move in the world how they want it. So you have a conundrum here, SB. You have Black slaves that Harriet Tubman stole from the plantation, from their slave masters, and you have the North where Black Americans were not free to do what they wanted. So I ask you, SB, if they weren't free, what were they?
Well, you had to pick. Would you rather a master, or would you rather get beat, or would you rather not get beat? Basically, that's what you're asking.
No, SB, I'm not disagreeing with you, but this is a philosophical conversation. If someone is not free, and when we just acknowledge that Black Americans in the North were not free, they just weren't free. If someone is not free, but they are not a slave, what are they?
I don't know. I don't know what they are, but I believe Harriet Tubman freed people from plantations. She freed them and she gave them their body back. She gave them the liberty, at least a little bit of liberty, a little bit of hope from, you don't need to be someone's master. You don't have to get beat this way. You just have to,
Me and you aren't arguing that point though, but that's not what Kanye said. Kanye said Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves. She just got them to work for other white people. That's what he said. I'm asking you, where is the lie? Because so far you haven't rebutted what he said. He said that she didn't really free anybody. All she did was bring Black people from one plantation and got them to work for white people in the North. Where is the lie in that statement?
I guess there isn't a lie. That's what she did. That's what she did. She freed people from plantations.
Okay, so you want to pay? You're basically saying she freed them even though they didn't have freedom.
I feel like
I'm just asking
you got to think about it as a slave. Would you rather get beat and manipulated and forced to do something, or would you rather and have a slave and have a master? I mean, or would you rather be in the North and at least not experience those beatings? Deal with a little restriction in your life. Yeah, you're not completely free, but at least you don't have a master over you telling you take it, do this, do XYZ, getting, raped.
I think you think that I'm disagreeing with you, but I'm not disagreeing that. For example, if you give me a multiple choice and say, would you rather be a slave with a master, or go up north, where you still ain't free, but you're freer than you were. I'm gonna choose the freer option. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is there was this big pushback to what he said, and the point he was making was that black people didn't have freedom at all. Like you weren't a free person, and so we look back on history and we talk about Harriet Tubman, freeing the slaves and whatnot, but she didn't free them. She if black people don't have their own businesses, if black people don't have access to wealth, if black people don't have the same opportunities that white people do, how are we free? That was the point he was getting to. That's why, to me, when he said about Harriet Tubman, I said this is obviously a true statement, because black people in the North back then were not free. They just weren't slaves. And to me, the proper response to his statement would have been to have an intellectual discussion like me and you had right now about, wow, well, if you're not free and you're not a slave, what are you? I think that's an interesting conversation to have, because I contend that no American, put like this, anybody who lives in a government is not free, right?
Right.
The only free
100%.
society. Thank you. Only free society is if you live in an anarchist society. Literally, any and everything goes. You can rape somebody if you want. You can kill them. You have freedom to do any and everything. There's no anarchist society that's worth living in the world right now.
No.
So that means none of us are free, totally. Right? People might say that we're playing semantics, but I think that's an important point. Why? Because that means we are on like what's the right word to use? A spectrum of freedom.
Right.
None of us are totally free, but none of us are slaves either. So somewhere on this spectrum, we all lie, right?
I see what you're saying.
And Kanye's point was that Harriet Tubman got people from here to here. And so were they slaves? No. But they just ended up working for other white people, and they didn't have that many options and choices to make decisions on their own, which is an accurate statement. I think it's an important statement to make. I think it's important to look at historical figures, SB, and I think black people struggle with this. Looking at historical figures without reverence, right? You have to look at Harriet Tubman and Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X as people and judge their deeds and their actions and the consequences of said actions. And we have to take the reverence glasses off and have honest conversations, because people took him saying it as a shot at Harriet Tubman's legacy. I didn't see it that way. I saw him putting her deeds in the proper context, meaning, yes, she got black people away from plantations, but those people were not free.
Right.
They weren't free. And that's an important distinction, because until you have the stuff where you are truly able to move, like you said, move around in the world as you see fit, when you see fit, with who you want to be around. If you can't check off those boxes, then how close are you to the free end of the spectrum?
Right.
And to me, it was just troubling that no one decided to sit back and analyze his comments for 2 seconds, because they hated or had negative views about the person that the comment came from. And that, to me, just low-level thinking.
And unfortunately, you know what? This actually brought a different perspective. And unfortunately, it really goes back to the setting. You know, it really goes back to the setting. Maybe, you know, if it was a different setting, I would have definitely taken that statement a little more lightly, and I probably would have understood it because there would have probably been more context behind it, more questions behind it. If it was in, you know, an interview setting like this one, or a conversational setting like this one, to have a conversation like this, because it's important. And I guess his point was, we've never been free.
No, we haven't.
You know, and that's the fight that we're still fighting.
Now, I could push the conversation. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Keep going.
I could push the conversation a little bit further and ask you: has anybody been free in America, including the white man?
I don't think so.
Me neither. so if no one has ever been free, you know, I have this theory in my mind that you can't have a successful country or nation and also have freedom. Right. I don't think those two things mix. I think to a certain extent, you have to have rules and regulations for people in order for your nation to thrive, because people having total free will is the downfall of a nation. And I think that's happening right now, actually. I think people have too much freedom, but that's a conversation for another day. But to that point, though, if I can say no one has ever been free in America, no one has freedom. And so when we say free, what are we talking about? Like, these are all philosophical conversations that could have sprung out of what he said, but it didn't because of who it came from. And I think, just to me, that you kind of have to extend your thinking a little bit, where you kind of judge a statement on its own and not dismiss it because of who it came from, because of the setting that it came from. Like, we have to force ourselves as Black people to kind of just take that next step, because otherwise you'll miss out on so many profound conversations that you can have because you don't like the person, or you don't like the setting, or they said this on Fox News and not CNN, so I'm not going to pay attention. That, to me, it don't make no sense, SB.